welcome back. Got a lot of questions about my gear, about what it is, what it does, and why I use it, and for what. So I'm gonna talk about it. Hope you like it, and well, let's see what it brings. So the first on top, that's just an equalizer, and I use it for my kicks, just to beef it up or to get some punch out of it. And that's about it. Almost only on the kick, not snares or some. The green box, that's the Joemeek SE2. That's an opto compressor, a slower compressor, but perfect for drums, for bass, even vocals. I use it for my kick snare mono bus. Yeah, I like the way it compresses. It makes it bigger. It's colored. So yeah, it's a great tool to have. It's the Radioman Limiter. It's a clone from the Helios console. It's a really fast limiter, and it's an FET compressor limiter. I use it for my drums, for the kick or for the snare, because this release time is so cool. It's not really chopping it off, but when you have a snare with a tail and you want to tighten it up, then add some release time and it's perfect. It sits so right in the mix with it. And sometimes I even use it for samples, just for leveling and gluing it with the drums together. By the way, this is hand built in Germany. The other one is the Altec compressor. It's an opto compressor. It's an old one, and it's also a mic preamp. I don't use it because it's a little noisy. Even the line input is a little noisy, but it has plenty of gain. And for the compression, I use it on bass and on the snare, because for the snare it smacks. And this one is the Warm Audio, the 76 limiting amplifier. It's an FET compressor, and I use it for the kicks, for the vocals. It makes it fuller, rounder. Yeah, that's what I'm using it for. This one is a DBX 160 XT. It's a VCA compressor. Y'all have seen this one, and I'm using this one also for bass, vocals, even sometimes some snares. It has an over easy button, and that adjusts the aggressiveness of the knee threshold. And I like it because it's also a colored. It makes more sound on snares, vintage, beefy. I like it. Under here is the Urei LA4, and yeah, it's a really clean but smooth compressor. You can add a lot of gain reduction and still not pumping or hearing or something like that. I'm using it for samples, for acoustic instruments, vocals, that type of stuff. And this is a cool box. I'll show you. This one is not plugged in this time. It's a DBX 117. Some of you all have seen this thing. This has an extra mod. It's a ratio mod. So what it does is when let me put it back like this. When you turn up the ratio on this thing, that knob, that makes the for example, snare more snappier. So when I'm using it, it's not too much. It's just a little bit, and then it can punch through the mix. I use this for the kicks, for the snares, drum bus, for the bass, and the reason why it's not plugged in at this time is because my patch bay is full. I need another patch bay or get rid of some gear, but I don't think so. By the way, this one is my sound card, my interface. It's a Motu. I have it for years, I think more than 10 years or so. It's still working. Yeah, I use it for my MPC. It's 8 outputs in, 8 outputs out for mixes, hybrid on my console. And yeah, only for that. I don't use the mic pre's, although they clean, but I don't use it. This is a TL Audio. It's a valve compressor, and it's not the best compressor in the world, but it's smooth, and also because it's an amplifier for instruments, you can use it to warm up the sounds, make it less digital if you have digital sounds. I'm using it for vocals, for acoustic instruments, samples like that, and even sometimes a stereo mix. Just do some stereo compression, and yeah, it makes it warmer. This one, you see me using it quite a lot. It's the Vitalizer from SPL. It's the mkII, and yeah, this also has a drive button just to add some harmonics to it. But I'm really using it for the bass enhancer. When I have a sample and I need the bass of the sample, I just enhance it with that knob, and man, it beefs up the sound. So you don't need to get another bass instrument into your beat. There's also a compressor on it. I don't like the compressor, it's too pumpy, so I don't use it. Some EQ, I use it on it, especially the mids, what I like, and sometimes the stereo expander. And the cool thing from the stereo expander knob is you can widen it for the stereo sounds, but also when you have a mono sound, you can use it, and it's bringing it up more up front. It's a really cool feature. Under it, it's an ugly beast. It's the Dyna-mite Compressor. This one is missing some knobs, and there's a snap out of it, but it's working. This is a really fast compressor. If I'm right, it's VCA, and I'm using it for kicks, snares. It can make it huge, but also really snappy to make it cut through the mix. That's what I'm using it for. This one is the Bellari. It's a preamp, it's a compressor, limiter, and it's also an exciter. Also on tubes, and I don't know if I like it because the gain structure of this thing is weird. You know, you can add a lot of gain, but it doesn't work. It's always full gain. But besides that, the compressor is really useful for vocals, for bass. It really clamps it down. And then with the exciter, you can add some high, some excitement, but also some bottom to get that warm, full radio voice. And yeah, last week I used it on a voice for a mix, and it did its job well. But only for that, I don't know if I like it and if I keep it into my rack just to save some space. It's a lot of talking, man, and yeah, if you have some questions about it, please ask, man. I hope I can answer them. You know, I'm not a professional. I'm using it the way I use it, just for coloration, shaping the tones, and hope to get some nice sounds out of it. So that's about it. Peace.